I'm going to show you how to create a custom texture for Doom 3, use it in the game, and use it in the editor. And to do this, I'm going to be using Photoshop. I have Photoshop 7 installed, and I had to install a custom plugin, texture filter, to go along with this, which you can find here on the modsonline.com website here under the download supplements for Doom 3. It is a Photoshop filter. It's a texture image filter called Normal Map, and it's necessary to create the bump map texture that is going to be used within the game. And I believe that it also requires DirectX 9 to be installed, but so does the game, so you should be alright. Now, to speed the process along a little bit, I've started by creating a texture. I'm going to go over the finer points of what I did here. I just needed something simple to get the point across for this tutorial, so forgive me for not having some super texture already set up for you. I just wanted to get through this tutorial for you. What I've done was I've started with an image. I started with an image in my Photoshop that is 512 by 512 in size. It's very important that it is a power of 2 in size, meaning that it has to be 64 by 64, 128 by 128, 256 by 256. It could be 512 by 64, 128 by 8. It's just some sort of power of 2. It's very important that the game sees that, because otherwise it will not work. And if you've worked with textures in other games before, this is a familiar thing to you. It's also important that this is an RGB type image. If I go over here, image mode, it is RGB color. It is not any of the others, because the filter that we're going to be using is going to require this. Alright, so I have a 512 by 512 image. And what you're looking at right here is pretty much, this is going to be our finished image right here. It's going to have a reddish hue. It's a metal platform. I have some brush stroke metal going through it, and some sort of Mods Online thing in here. And it looks very plain right now, but all the other pieces of the texture are going to come together and make this look a lot better than what we see right here. We're going to be creating 4 types of images here, 4 very important types. The first one is the diffuse channel. That is your color channel. It gives a basic look of the texture. It has the color information. You get the basic idea. That's what we're looking at right here, actually right now. The other one is going to be the specular map. Now, the specular map is going to give us our highlights, the way things shine and the way the light reflects off of things. Then we're going to create our bump map. The bump map is how things look raised or lowered on the actual texture itself. And the fourth one is going to be our editor texture, the texture that we see within the editor. So right here I have my diffuse map. I have some reddish color. This is basically what it's going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and save my diffuse map right here. I'm going to save as, and I'm going to head on over to my Doom 3 folder under Program Files, Doom 3, Base. Now right in here I need to create a new folder. I need to create one called Textures, so it knows where to find what we're working with, Textures. And then inside of Textures, I'm going to create my own custom folder. I'm going to call it custom. You could call it anything you want. You should probably call it the name of your map in this case, so that everything ties together in the end. Whenever you package it up, people understand what it's for. But the point here is that we have within the editor we have folder, texture, and inside of that we have a number of other folders like base floor, base wall, and so forth. Well, this is going to be custom. So inside of the custom folder is where we are going to save our new image. And let's call it Mods Online. It's a Mods Online basically. Doesn't matter what we call it, as long as we have the same name. Now, since this is the diffuse map, we're going to call it Mods Online _D. That's just the naming convention that ID used whenever they created the game, so we're going to stick with that. And finally, we're going to save this as a TGA, a target image, in 24-bit. There we go. There's our diffuse, all set. Now, next thing we want to do is let's go ahead and save our specular map. Our specular, as I said, is the way that the light reflects off of things. Now, a specular map needs to be in grayscale. It needs to be desaturated, which means only black and white and shades of gray are in it, because whatever is white will reflect more light, and whatever is black won't reflect any light at all. So here we go. We have I can go with either something very simple like this, black and white, boom, but I'm going to throw in this little extra bit of brush stroked on here to give us a little more detail in the game, and I won't have any light shining there. I have a whole bunch of light shining on this metal plate, so I am going to go ahead and save this now. I'm going to save as. I'm going to actually save this in the same place as a TGA, a Targa, and I am going to call it, instead of mods online _D, it'll be mods online _S. 24-bit. There we go. Now we have our specular map. Next, let's go ahead and do our editor image, because the bump map image is going to require a little extra work. The editor image is going to look just like it is now, except we want everything to look smaller. The image for the editor must be sized at 256 by 256. Go ahead and resize that. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to save as, again, TGA, target image, and we're going to call this modsonline underscore ed for editor. 24-bit. Okay, there we go. I'm going to go back because I don't want to have that resized for the next step. Now the next step requires the plugin that I talked about. This is the bump map. The bump map works almost the same way as this specular map, where the white is highlighted, the black is not. So in this case, it's the white will stick out more and the black will stick in more. Now, the difference between using a bump map just like this and using a normal map, which is what we're going to convert this into, is that a normal map contains 3 types of information. It doesn't just create how much it sticks out and how much it sticks in, but there's more like an XY coordinate, and it's very difficult to explain, and it's very difficult to understand actually. So I don't need to get into the details of that. But what I do need to show you is how to create it. So first of all, I don't need this black image anymore, this red piece in it. I don't want to have this one in here. Now I found out through trial and error before that whenever I have this brush stroke piece in here, there was a whole bunch of extra noise that was created within the texture I was trying to create, and it created an awful look. So I want to get rid of that. All I need is this basic information that this plate is going to be sticking out, this background is going to be sticking in, and this model line is going to look like it's carved out. You can kind of see how it's like it fades in and out, so it's going to look kind of carved into the metal itself. I'm going to flatten this. I need to flatten this layer so that it's only layer, flatten image, so that it's one layer. And now I can use my filter, the new filter that I have. It's under Filter, NV Tools, now that I installed it, called Normal Map Filter. I go ahead and hit it, and let me show you a little bit about this. Here's a quick preview, a dynamic preview of what it looks like. You can kind of get the idea that it's just carving out. It's in blue, I know. That's what I said. It would be a it would be a normal map, which is a different color scale and everything. Alright, what you need to have. You need to have wrap checked. You need to have for sample marked. You need to have animate light. Height over here, average RGB, that's all you need. Now let me go over the scale. What the scale does here is it adjusts how much this sticks out or sticks in. If I just have 2, which is actually the default, it's not going to be as strong. If you watch that little blue image, I don't know if you can see it. If I turn it up to 16, it really sticks out a lot. I can even hit this 3D preview, click, and when I right click it and drag it around a little bit, you can kind of get another idea of what it's going to look like. It's a pretty neat little tool. But I have the same idea right here. I can see it sticking out a lot. 16, that's the scale, okay? And the rest of it is not important. I'm not even sure how some of it completely works, but we'll go along with this. Okay, we'll say OK, and it'll convert the image to what we just saw. There's our color map information. I'm now going to save this as a TGA also, but I'm going to call it modsonline underscore local. Why local? Like I said, we're just following along with ID, what they set forth for us. 24-bit, we're done. Now the difference between the 24-bit and the 32-bit is the 32-bit carries the alpha channel. It is your transparency layer. But I'm not going to get into that information right now. Now we're almost done. We've got our 4 textures. Now we have to define how those textures are seen within the game. Okay? We need to go over to Notepad. I'm going to open up Notepad. And we want to create a new file here. We're going to create a material file. So let's first define what the material is. We're going to begin with calling it textures, custom. We put it in the custom folder, and we're going to call this modsonline. That's the name of our material. Now we're going to give it some definition within these brackets. I'm going to put these brackets in. I'm going to tab in. I'm going to go QER underscore editor map. Actually, it's underscore editor image. Okay, this is going to be our editor image. I'm going to tab again, and I'm going to tell it where to find that editor image. It's going to be under textures, custom. Then the name of the image is, let's see, modsonline underscore ed.tga. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go down to the next line, and I'm going to define the next one. The next one is the diffuse map, okay? So we want to type in diffuse map and tab over, and we'll go textures, custom, mods online, spell that correctly, _D, because that was our diffuse map, .tga. Okay, we'll go down to the next line, and we'll add in our specular map. We'll go textures, custom, mods online, _S, and one more is our bump map. And we'll go textures, custom, mods online, _local .tga. Okay, there we go. That's all we needed to do. Why did I do all these tabs? Well, you could just do spaces or whatever, but the idea is that this is easy to read. I could open up the file, and since these are nice columns, because I tabbed over, it's easy to read. I can take a quick glance and know what I'm looking at. So let's make sure. I think I spelled everything correctly. If I didn't, then we're going to end up with some trouble. Okay. Now we're going to save. We're going to save this file in a new folder. So first of all, let's get over to our Doom folder, which we're not at right now. Program files. Doom 3, base. Now instead of textures folder, we're going to need a materials folder. Okay, and then here's where we're going to save it, right in here. We're going to save it under the same name, modsonline.mtr, important. modsonline.mtr, material file. We're going to go ahead and save it. Now, one other thing you want to do, you want to go into your File Explorer here, you want to go into your materials folder and make sure that it's saved as a .mtr, because most likely Notepad, if you haven't associated .mtr files with Notepad, it's going to save it as a .mtr.txt, and nothing will work for you. Okay, that's it. Everything should be in working order now, so I'm going to load up the editor, and we're going to apply the texture somewhere. Okay, now if you already had the editor open, you may have been fooled under this media tab where it says reload. Sometimes that'll work, but you know what? My experience is that it won't reload the textures properly. So you're better off, if you had it open, to shut it down and then reopen the editor in order for this to work. So I'm going to go and make sure that my texture is showing up. I'm going to go to textures, and I bet you right down here I'll have custom. And there's my new texture. Okay, let's go over and load up some sort of test map. I'm going to open up something called test2 here. There we go, just a basic room. Okay, let's texture these two walls. As you can see, I have been playing a little bit with this. Okay, I'm going to go and load up our new texture. Go over to custom, double click mods online. It should apply the texture, but if it doesn't, I'll go over to here. Here we go. And I'm going to apply it on this wall too back here. There we go. There's our texture. It's tiling nicely. Now we're going to load it up in the game, and we're going to see what happens with it. Let's save this as test2 map is fine, and we're going to compile it, and I'm going to load it for you. Okay, here we are. We're in the game, and we're taking a look at what we have. There it is. You can kind of see that it looks like it's sticking out, that we have our mods online sort of dug in there. We have a nice little, we could have probably gone a little more overboard along with our scaling to make it look like it sticks out even more, but you get the basic idea. You can see how the light is sort of shining off of it a little bit in different ways. That is really nice effect because of the specular map that we have. So we have our bump map, which is all the digs in here and the outside stuff here. We have our specular map, which we can see as we walk around. The light shines off of it differently, especially off of this whiter part, which we left more white on purpose. And you can see our diffuse map, which is showing up on our colors right here. And the editor map, well, you saw that inside the editor. So there we go. I hope this helps you in creating your custom textures, and have fun with it. Happy mapping.